I'm Amanda.
And I'm Mike. And
this is Saturday Morning Cereal. Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome to another episode of Saturday Morning Cereal. I'm Amanda, here with Mike, and guys, it has been a while, huh? Mike and I life has been lifing, so yeah. First off, I hope everyone's doing good and having a great fall so far. Mike, we have watched quite a few things since our last episode. Like what? Inside Out 2?
Inside Out 2.
Mother's Instinct?
Mother's Instinct.
That was trippy. I mean, I can't say I liked it. I was like entranced, but meh.
We also watched Godzilla Minus One.
Mm-hmm.
And then we watched The Young Woman and the Sea with Daisy Ridley.
That was so good.
That was a good one.
Oh my gosh. Like, I felt her. Like, and just the gumption she had. And, Daisy put on a great performance in that movie. Oh my goodness. Gosh, what else have we watched? I feel like we've watched so much. I mean, I've watched, like, reality shows, like the Dallas Cowboy cheerleader. Oh, we watched Smile.
Smile, yes. The sequel's out now.
Oh my gosh, that was a delight. Like, a surprisingly good movie. We both liked it so much.
I'm not a big fan of, like, horror outside of, like, zombie movies and monster movies, but Smile, it was really well made.
Yeah, so we're excited to hopefully see the second one when it comes out on streaming. Yeah, and I feel like I've watched, I don't know, I think I've just watched like a lot of reruns of like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But I mean, there have been some good things out, and there's some really good things out right now in theater. And then, yeah, I don't know, what else are we gonna see other than Wicked next month?
Well, Captain America 4 comes out in February.
Yeah, that's down the line though. But
yeah.
Yeah, there's some good stuff out there. And, I got a lot of stuff favorited in my Netflix account, Disney Plus. I got to just get going because, like I said, we've been so crazy busy that I feel like we missed out on a couple good things. So, yeah. But on this episode today, we will welcome Serial fan member Marshall back to the podcast, and we are going to talk about the new Disney Plus show, Agatha All Along. Very highly anticipated show since WandaVision wrapped up a few years ago, which is crazy. Feels like it was just yesterday since WandaVision came out. But anyway, I digress. So that's going to be our topic for the day. And yeah, I can't wait to dive in.
And now, a spoonful of news.
A segment where we share some exciting news happening in the entertainment industry. So, welcome to our first news segment to the podcast that we decided to add as part of our new format of the show. This is just, a little segment of things that we're personally excited for and that you guys can benefit from. So, my first topic is going to obviously be Wicked. I know I've been blowing up like our Facebook and Instagram pages with Wicked updates. Wicked, the musical, was a huge part of my life in high school. I mean, I was a theater nerd. We would go downtown Chicago here, and we would do the lottery. And I know in previous episodes I've mentioned, I used to try to go every other weekend to see Wicked. And it had a hold on me, and it still does as an adult. And needless to say, I've been waiting 20 years for this movie, and I pray to God it does not disappoint. And I know, Mike, you're like, you're skeptical on it.
Well, it's with an unproven director, and the last major Broadway show to get a musical adaptation was, like, Cats.
Ugh.
So my standards are pretty low, but I hope it's good for your sake.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. And if you're an Amazon Prime member, you can get into the show on November 18th at any movie theater by you, so make sure you check that out. I know my mom and I are going to go, so I'm very excited. Gosh, what else? So we have Toy Story 5 news, and again, Toy Story 5 or just Toy Story in general is like my identity. Jessie is like my favorite everything. So it looks like we're going to be. Well, first off, Woody is back. Like, where did Woody come from? Right? And yeah, the toys are going to be up against technology, and there's a bunch of like bad Buzz Lightyears out there, which I kind of hope like they all like hit on Jesse. I think that'd be hilarious. I'm excited for Toy Story 5 because I'm just excited to see it's like my family, these characters. So, let's cross our fingers that this one will be good. And then we have Moana 2 next month, which Wicked was supposed to come out on the same weekend as Moana 2, but Universal changed it to a week before Wicked. And what else is coming out with Wicked? Um, they're saying it's like the next Barbenheimer. Is it Gladiator?
It's Gladiator and yeah, Wicked, I think.
Is like Wicked-ator. I think that's what they're titling it. I don't know. But the Moana 2 comes out during Thanksgiving, and I know a lot of people are anticipating that movie. So, and we're Disney nerds, so we'll probably end up seeing it as well. How about you, Mike? Do you have any news to update the viewers?
Oh, sure. There's this Avatar: The Last Airbender game coming out. It's right. It's in development right now, and we don't know when it'll come out. But it's essentially a choose-your-own adventure game of Avatar.
Oh.
And you'll start the game off by choosing an element, and then beginning your training as an Avatar. And it takes place hundreds of years before Kyoshi and Roku and Aang and all that stuff, and Korra. And the game starts off with a volcanic eruption, which puts the Avatar world into an ice age. Oh. So I'm very excited about that because I've been pitching that game for a long time, and people are like, "That's just Jade Empire 2." But yeah, it's by Saber Studios, so I've never heard of them before, but I hope they make a great game.
Yeah, that sounds exciting. And then you also mentioned we're gonna have a new episode, or not new episode, but a new season of Daredevil coming up.
Yes, in
so
March,
excited.
Daredevil comes out with our acquaintance Charlie Cox. We both met him now.
Yeah, the interesting thing was I had COVID that week, and it was an eventful week because I was like slightly dying of COVID. I got a new job, and then that Saturday I met Charlie Cox, or we met Charlie Cox at Comic-Con.
Fan Expo.
He was the sweetest. Oh my gosh, he wrote on my Funko Pop, you're a real good lawyer. Yeah, he was just so nice. Very well worth the wait of his long autograph line, but yeah, very sweet guy. Yeah, I'm very excited to see Kingpin and him just interacting. You can see it in the trailer. So.
And Kamala Khan's dad is also in the trailer, so Daredevil will be helping out Mr. Khan.
Yeah.
And then there's some other Marvel characters set to debut in there, and it looks like Vanessa is returning. Vanessa! You embarrassed me in front of Vanessa!
So funny. But yeah, we have some very exciting things coming up, and I'm excited for all these things. And like I said, Toy Story 5, I'm just hoping is good. But Wicked is like my life right at the moment, so yeah, and that'll be the topic of the next podcast. So very excited. Okay, and like I said, today the topic is Agatha All Along on Disney Plus, and today we have Marshall, who is a veteran, a serial fan member, and they love the show just as much as we did. So let's just dive into this discussion. Marshall, you love the show. What is the big draw for you?
I'm literally obsessed with this show, guys. I can't. I think a big part of it for me is I've always loved the spooky stuff. So give me witches and I'm a happy camper. But what really got me with this show is the representation. Especially for the LGBTQ community. I mean, I came out a couple of years ago, and it's really, really hard to get representation for the pieces of the LGBTQ community that I am. However, I very much felt represented in this show.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Um,
yeah.
so that was a big part of it, as well as the freaking storyline. It's brilliant. It was well written, well executed. It made me want to dive deeper and do research about Agatha Harkness and um, all of that extra little stuff in the Marvel universe. It just it drew me in, and I was like, okay, let's see what this is about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and can we talk about the cast here? So we have Catherine Hahn, who is back as Agatha Harkness. We saw her in WandaVision, and she was just this kooky, crazy witch. And I'll get to this in a second, but she puts on like a whole new hat in this show.
Hmm.
And then we're also introduced to Joe. Is his last name Locke? I believe.
Yes, Joe
Yeah,
Locke.
and he plays quote unquote teen. And the dynamic between the two are just fantastic. And then
Hmm.
we have, and listeners know I'm really bad with names, so I apologize in advance if I'm butchering these names, but Sashir Zamata as Jennifer Kale. She's like a botanist of some sort. And then we have Ali On, who's Alice. Uh, and Marshall, you're as a fellow theater nerd, Patty LaPone as
I died.
Lilia. I mean, come on now.
I'm deceased.
Right. And then Deborah Jo Rupp as Mrs. Hart, who was a comic relief for like what the first two episodes. And then Aubrey Plaza as Rio. Applause.
Mm.
So let's just talk here. So Mike, where do we pick up from WandaVision?
Agatha is still under the Scarlet Witch's spell that she was placed under at the end of WandaVision, and she is playing the part of a nosy neighbor. And when the Scarlet Witch dies in Doctor Strange 2, spoiler warning, Agatha is freed from her spell, and Joe Locke's character, Billy, comes and frees her from it.
Mm-hmm. And what's the bunny's name? Itchy Scratchy?
Senior Scratchy.
Senior Scratchy. He was in there for a second, but then we don't know what happened to him. He's the main star of the show.
Yeah, he disappeared.
Hashtag bunny owner. Yeah, so let's talk about Agatha here. Let's talk about how I feel like in WandaVision she was portrayed more as just like a goofy, kooky kind of character who was just like, oh, Wanda, all that. But then in the show, she really doubles down on the character and brings a lot more emotion and just different characteristics of Agatha. So what did you guys think of her overall performance?
I honestly think that she was brilliant. I think there's so many complexities to Agatha that we very much learn throughout the show, and she does a great job of portraying each layer of her.
I think she played it with a lot of zero shame. She had no shame playing this role. She had no shame getting dirty, being portrayed as messy, naked, um, all of the moaning she did when she was in pain or giving labor. She committed to the whole role entirely. It's really cool.
I have to say, y'all, I did not know that I needed to see Catherine Hahn's ass, but I did. Apparently, I did.
And then that low cut shirt she was in too. What was holding that together?
But she brought it to each of those outfits. She had the juice with that. I love Catherine Hahn, but she gets kind of pushed aside in some of the movies I have seen her in, like Step Brothers or This Is Where I Leave You, or I was just for mic check, I was just singing the Sweet Child of Mine part in Step Brothers. But this show really showed off her acting chops. That she's not just this mainstream comedian who only stars as someone's crazy wife in a comedy. So this was really nice to see her acting on a whole new level. And yeah, she was great. And she was also great with the characteristics of each trial. I don't know if they were like characters or like
the tone, the mood.
Yeah,
the
she
vibe.
was really. And like, for instance, she was the Wicked Witch of the West, and they were all, like, Wizard of Oz character. Or, no, they were all witches, just general witches. But she had, like, the mannerisms and the movement of, like, Margaret Hamilton down. I was so impressed.
You can definitely tell that she did her research
Yeah.
and clearly did everything she could to get in the right mindset to play this character.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't campy either. She didn't overdo it. She played it perfectly within the realms of, like, realistic, but also whimsical as well.
And very focused on the task at hand, too.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't bring us out of the show like, oh, what are they doing? Trying to be Wizard of Oz? Like, no.
Mm-hmm.
And she always made space for the other actors, too. Mm-hmm. And that was great because, like, she could have just made the whole show about herself, and she could have been trying to steal every scene. But she shares so much of her responsibility of being the lead with the other characters that she really, like, it. She elevates everyone.
The show may be called Agatha All Along, but it was truly an ensemble show. And
Yes.
you could tell that she was happy to share the spotlight with everyone.
It should have been called, like, Agatha and Coven or something.
They kept on changing the name. I think it was called Agatha Coven of Chaos and Agatha. They changed the name like 7 times. People were like, "Is this? Can they not agree on the name?" And then they were just like, "No, it's Agatha all along." It was her playing tricks on everyone, changing the name.
We should have had something that said it was Mrs. Hart all along. I mean, Mrs. Hart, come on. That poor little innocent woman.
I've loved
You
her
mean
since I
Sharon?
started the show.
Yep. Sharon.
Her name was Sharon. Oh, well,
Sharon
she's dead.
Davis.
I definitely, like, she was great too because she has that sitcom energy, and then she was just kind of like along with everyone, and she's like, just go with the flow and everything. That was so funny. She was so great.
I think Deborah went into this show without even seeing a lick of in the MCU. She probably doesn't have any idea what the MCU is, and she was just probably like, oh, yeah.
She
like,
was in WandaVision, so she
That's
had
true.
some idea.
Yeah. But I don't know. She just, I can't picture her sitting down and watching, like, I don't know, Iron Man or something.
Well, she was probably like, well, it's in my character that they don't know what's going on, so I'll just play along like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And then let's move on to Joe Locke, who plays quote unquote teen, as Agatha just calls him for the first half of the show. But then we learn later that he is Wanda's quote unquote son, Billy. I personally thought he was a breath of fresh air. It's like Marshall said that, he was representing the LGBTQ plus community. It was just a role that we needed, I guess. What do you guys think of that?
I have fallen in love with Joe Locke. I am now going to go watch his show Heartstopper, which apparently is a gay coming of age show. And I'm like, okay, why have I not watched this before? But I fell in love with the way he played this character. It truly showed the depth of his acting chops, and I can't wait to see how his career progresses after this.
Yeah, we definitely want to see more of Billy and possibly Tommy in the future. See what kind of havoc they wreak in the main world. What would you call it?
The
The
sacred
sacred
timeline.
timeline.
Timeline. Yeah. Maybe even meet Loki one day. That'd be sweet.
He seems to have a lot on par with, like, Loki, right? I mean,
Yeah.
he's essentially been outcast from his previous life, and now he finds himself in this new one, and he's just trying to, get along with his brother and unite with him.
I can just picture Loki going like, Billy, sit down. Let's have a chat.
The chaos in that conversation would be amazing to witness.
Oh my goodness. I was really pulling for Loki to show up somewhere with like Wanda. I just wanted to see the Scarlet Witch and Loki interact just once, even if it was like in passing.
That would have made me very happy.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we're ever going to get Wanda back.
I
I'm
feel
sorry,
like
the MCU did her so dirty, and I'm still
Yeah.
angry about it.
I'm just really sick of the trope that once a mother loses her children, she goes crazy.
Mm.
Mhm.
We watched this movie recently called A Mother's Instinct, and it's about a woman who loses her children and goes crazy. And I'm just sick of it. And it
Mhm.
always makes me chuckle when Elizabeth Olsen was actually in consideration for the role of Daenerys Targaryen in Game of Thrones. I was like, wow, she almost would have been a character who went crazy and then got a really disappointing ending after losing her children, and she instead got cast as Scarlet Witch and fell into the same trap.
Mhm. Um, I'm really annoyed with that trope myself. As a mother, it pisses me off because when you turn someone into a villain, I feel as if you're villainizing what that villain is fighting for. And she was fighting for her family. Um,
And it just kind of puts a stigma on mothers too. Like,
yeah.
you lose your children, you're automatically classified as, oh, you're gonna go crazy. Like,
Mhm.
you gotta watch her because she lost her kid. But it's like, people
And they
forget. I
make
mean,
that the entire personality, like their personality before that didn't exist at all.
yeah.
Yeah, women exist beyond the realms of just having children.
Mhm.
Like, they're more than that.
Mhm.
And it really upsets me that even Marvel, as progressive as they are, is that they fell into that trope and they failed Wanda. And, Elizabeth Olsen was absolutely fine in that movie, but then the writing, it just let me down. And it's probably one of my least favorite Marvel movies ever. Is like, I
Mhm.
couldn't even stand to rewatch it because it's just character assassination to me.
I still enjoy the movie. Um, I love Elizabeth Olsen, and she was a brilliant Scarlet Witch, and I will forever die on the hill that she was wronged. But I still enjoy watching the movie because I actually really love Xochitl Gomez, who played America.
Mm.
Yes. Hopefully, we'll see America Chavez and Billy team up because they're, very similar queer young characters.
Supposedly, they're building up to the Young Avengers, and a lot of those characters we've already seen, like Kate in Hawkeye. We've seen America. We've seen Wiccan, who is Billy. Um, and there are a few others. I have to
Uh,
sit here and think about it, but it seems
Kate
that they're
Kate Bishop
mhm.
and Miss Marvel.
Miss Marvel as well.
Miss
I
Marvel,
actually just
yeah.
finished watching that for the first time.
So
That was
good.
fantastic.
Yeah, so good.
But it seems to be that they're building up to the Young Avengers. And if that's the case, then I'm really excited to see what they do with them because there's some really good young talent there.
And familiar faces, so it'll be good to like see the actors like taking on such a bigger chunk of the MCU. Let's move on to talk about Sashir Zamata, who plays Jennifer Kale, and how I just wanted to like sit in her Zen shop and just relax. I thought she was so like I don't know. Her acting was really good, and I just like how she kept it real with the group. Like when the Salem Seven were coming, she was like, "Nope," and bolted right for the witch's room. I was dying. I'm like, "She's me."
I don't know what's down there, but I know what's up here, and I don't want it, so I'm going down there.
Yeah.
Right? Oh my
And she
goodness.
wasn't afraid to stand up to Agatha at all. Like she was just
Hmm.
like, especially at the end when she figured out it was Agatha all along. She just really took the reins of her own life.
She did. I absolutely adored Jennifer Kale. Um, for all the reasons that you've said. I especially love that she was like, okay, now hold on there, Agatha. She was not afraid to speak her mind at all. And I think that that was really wonderful and gave, it challenged Agatha in the way that it needed to, for Agatha's character to keep going as well.
Mm-hmm. And then we also have Ali Khan, who plays Alice, and Justice for Alice.
Right?
Oh, poor
My
Alice.
protection witch. My girl. I have such a connection to Alice, you guys, and part of that is because like I'm the self-proclaimed mom friend. I protect my friends. So
Me
I
too.
feel a lot of connection to Alice because she just wants to help people and protect them, and I feel like I'm very much like that. So her dying
Definitely.
made me so angry.
Yeah, definitely her and Billy had like this deep connection
Mhm.
on some level, and obviously he was upset when she passed, and
Mhm.
yeah, it was really sad. I didn't like that.
She had just got her life started. She had just
Yeah.
um, broken her curse, which is what she wanted from the road. So I'm surprised that she didn't just disappear like Jennifer did when
You
Jennifer's powers came back.
even if
Um,
you get what you want from the road, isn't it's like it said you have to get to the end of the road to get the prize.
Bummer.
But
And
So
like,
then
she needed to get to the end of the road. I don't think that what she wanted from the end of the road was to have the curse go away. I don't
maybe
that doesn't
maybe
make
just
sense to me.
closer with her mother, maybe just like wanting to see her mother again, and
Mhm.
maybe her mother knowing that she's going to be okay, because she saw her mother on the road in her trial. Yes.
Mhm. Yes.
yeah, and then I'm just gonna pause here and say that the music in this show is catchy as hell. Like, I was just humming The Witch's Road like right before we got on.
Mhm.
And someone who really brings the voices behind the music is Patti LuPone, who is just this big Broadway sensation. And it was so funny to see her in a show like this and be a part of the MCU. Um, and her character was great. She was
Mhm.
this like psychotic, like, I don't know how to really explain her, which is the point of the character.
Mhm.
I
Um,
I was really amazed by the direction and the acting in her episode where Patti LuPone dies, because
Mhm.
for an actor to center themselves out of sequence like that, when you know you have to direct them and tell them, hey, we're in this scene, but you're actually 3 steps ahead in this scene right now, but you're here now, so play it like that. And then they've had to shoot it differently, like and the editing, like it all came together so well. I was very impressed.
That just that just reinforces why Patti LuPone is such an icon.
for
It
sure.
really does. I laughed because in the second episode, Sashir has to tell her that she's pitchy, and I've made the joke 1,000 times to uh, my fiance, who is also obsessed with the show, that I would have been terrified to tell Patti LuPone that she was pitchy, even if it was just my line, because it's Patti
Oh yeah,
LuPone.
freaking
Isn't
Patti LuPone.
isn't it's pitchy just like a casual like no nonsense critique, like a nonsense critique of like someone singing, like you're just trying to like you're just pitchy. Like isn't that it?
Pitchy is telling someone that they're off key, like they're off pitch.
Oh man.
So
I remember
telling
Simon
someone that they
Cowell.
were pitchy during parts of the song is telling them that they were like off key, they weren't hitting the right notes.
Yeah, if you're not the voice
Oh.
teacher of somebody, you have no right to tell someone that they're pitchy, especially if you don't know
Hmm.
music.
Uh-huh. Unless someone asks you. If someone looks at
Yeah,
you and goes, "How did that sound?" and then they tell you were pitchy, you asked for it. But
right.
you don't just go off and say, "Oh yeah, you were pitchy."
Yeah, you can't go on
Not
someone's
cool,
TikTok
man.
singing, and go, "Oh, you're pitchy." It's like, who are you? Let's hear
Simon
you
Cowell.
sing.
I really like how I'm not sure what was she seeking on the road. She was seeking like order to her life, like she wanted to like figure it all out. But essentially, she just fulfilled like her own self-fulfilling prophecy
Hmm.
by going on the road. Like she connected all the dots and she knew what she had to do. And she was able to give Agatha a warning when she was fighting Rio as well.
Hmm.
So let's talk about Aubrey Plaza, you guys, who plays Rio, aka the Witch
Queen.
of Death.
Queen. Queen Aubrey Plaza. I've loved Aubrey Plaza since I saw her in Parks and Rec many years ago. Her character April is hilarious, and I
We've
have
always liked her since
about
Legend of Korra, because she plays
oh my gosh, that's
the
right.
one of the waterbending twins. Was it Desna
hmm
and Eska? Yeah,
It's been Desna.
Desna. Yeah, go ahead, go on, Marshall. Sorry, I just like Korra.
Oh
You
my
know.
goodness. Well,
Go
I
on.
didn't watch Korra until like last year, so that one's still new for me. But I've known her from Parks and Rec, and I love Parks and Rec. So when I saw that she was cast in this show as a witch, I was like, she's gonna be so unhinged, and it's gonna be awesome because
Yeah.
it, Aubrey is just amazing at playing unhinged characters. Because I think Aubrey herself is a little bit unhinged. Um, but it just gives more to the characters that she tends to play. And
Talk
Rio was
about
no exception to that because she
yeah.
was amazing.
Her cackling. I got chills.
yes.
And then when she like turns towards Billy and like first off, shout out to the lighting. And then she's just this like Grim Reaper looking thing in that moment. I was like, yes, this is just right up my alley.
I have a theory that all of the Green Witches serve Hela, aka the goddess of death from Thor Ragnarok, and that they all had to assume Grim Reaper roles when Odin cast her away, and that like witches had to become like the new Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that theory.
Because like the colors were there, you know, the
Mhm.
personality was there.
They're like Hela's offspring, like her daughters. Like mother, like daughter. I can just picture Hela and Rio being like, twinsies!
So, given that Rio is the Green Witch, and the Green Witch represents life and death, do we think that, like, Agatha's baby was, like, an immaculate conception or, like, an in vitro fertilization of, like, Rio? Like,
yes.
who is Agatha's son's father? Like, who is Nikki's
Yeah.
daddy?
It's
How is
Rio.
the kid
It's
conceived?
Rio. It's Rio. I really do believe that. Um Someone pointed out online that Rio can sort of shapeshift.
Mm-hmm.
So
Modernize the
it's quite
crow.
possible that, Rio could shapeshift and actually be like a physical father-ish
Like a
thing
Ditto
for
from
Nikki.
Pokemon. They can breed
Yeah.
with any Pokemon because they're genderless and they can transform. Okay.
Yes.
Or like Loki. I always bring up Loki on this podcast. Everyone knows that. But in the is it the mythology in the comics? He turns into a horse, a female horse, and gets impregnated by a male horse.
Mhm.
So, that's a thing.
That is a thing.
Yeah, it is a thing. And, Rio being the father is definitely, mostly probably it.
And the fact that she had removed herself from her like father responsibilities, I guess I could call that, and she still prioritized like the order of the world and like life and death, like that order over her child, is kind of cool.
Yeah, a good parallel to the working dad.
Yeah.
And also, she could have taken the boy like before he was even born, but she did give Agatha some grace to have some time with him.
Mhm.
Like
She says to Agatha, "I gave you special treatment, which was time." And despite the fact that Agatha doesn't see it that way, that's what she really did. She gave Agatha time. Um, but Agatha extended that time by keeping Rio busy with dead bodies.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
yeah.
so that's what she was doing. We were just like, why
Mhm.
is she stealing everyone's power?
She was distracting Rio by killing other witches. And the longer she did that, she kept her from getting Nikki. And
Oh
note
no.
that the one day that they didn't kill any witches is the day that she came for Nikki.
No, Marshall, no. Say it's not true.
Well, because
It's so! It's so!
I was wondering wondering how Agatha has this connection to death, like the Death Witch. I mean, yeah, it's implied they were lovers, but there's a deeper connection there as to why Agatha kills people when she, like, basically sucks the power out of these other witches. So, oh my god, I had no idea. I was trying to put two and two together. I couldn't come up with an answer, but that is a really good explanation.
And then she continues to do it with the Witch's Road song to keep Agatha from killing her. Or to keep Rio from killing her.
Oh.
Dang.
I just caught you just like blew my mind, Marshall. Like I never even thought it.
And just a side note, Mike and I, we just watched the show probably like 2 hours ago. So
yeah, I've been ruminating on it since Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually when I finish an episode of like a Marvel show, I'll go on YouTube and I'll watch like breakdowns and everything. But I was enjoying Agatha so much. I just want to like remove myself from that, like, and just embrace it as it was coming out, and like not try to get like spoiled or kind of like put into this mindset of what was supposed to happen. It paid off a lot to just go in blind like that.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes these, like, YouTubers, they can create, like, this narrative about the show that is in their point of view, and you kind of, like, stick with that when you're watching a show, and you don't really open your mind to other possibilities of what a meaning could be. So, yeah, the show is definitely something that just watch it. Don't engage with any outside things until you completed the show.
See, here's the thing, though. I don't normally engage in like watching TikToks about the lore and things, but this show made me want to learn more about the characters. So I did do that this time, and it didn't take away from me.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm fascinated with the whole, like, witch, I don't know, subject. Like the Salem trials and stuff like that. I weirdly like The Crucible in that movie with Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good one. With Winona Ryder. She's a complete nutcase in it. I love it.
I haven't seen the movie, but I did the show The Crucible while I was in high school.
I saw her. I saw them in the show. I remember going.
Yes, you did, Simic. You came and saw me in the show and got to hear my blood-curdling scream.
Who did you play?
I played Marcy Lewis.
The one that screams in the rafters or something, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it was awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah. Core memory unlocked.
Well, I think I still have it. Yeah. But the whole thing with just witches, that whole world is just so interesting. How, were witches real? Do witches live among us? We don't know.
And the witches in this show were prioritizing other women, and they were prioritizing children. And every time they found out about Nicky being alone or injured or something, they always offered to help him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they were looking out for each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it got him killed, and it's sad.
I agree.
I also love the fact that, like, Agatha became a legend because she was going around singing this song that he had just made up, and, like, it just became this, like, thing that all witches kind of assumed was real. And then even, was it Tina, right? Tina's mom? The Protection Witch, her mom was in that band and wrote, and it became, like, mainstream. That's so cool.
I really loved the fact that song was a creation of, like, love between Agatha and her son. I thought that was so interesting that this thing that they were just playing with for fun and created out of love to pass the time became this whole huge thing.
And she probably, like, just her way of coping with the loss, too. While trying to protect herself. And then, like, the harmonies of the Covenant when they went down the Witch's Road was so good. I mean, you have, like, Catherine Hahn. I don't even think she was in anything musical before. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then all the other women, except for Deborah. She was just in for the ride. She's like, down the Witch's Road.
I enjoyed all the different Easter eggs and like call of other like witch media, like Lisa Simpson being in the credits, and then Billy's room being full of like Wizard of Oz toys. I thought that was really cool. And we watched a YouTube video of the cast of Agatha, like watching other witches in media and like talking about them and everything, and they were all about like the Wizard of Oz and about Hocus Pocus. Like they love them. They're a fan of like witches as a subject.
Yeah. I also, speaking of, witches in pop culture, I loved that Lilia kept ragging on the way that pop culture views witches.
Yes.
It was fantastic.
I think the thing with witches is we were exposed, and when I say we, I mean like us who are millennials and Gen X, boomers, even because boomers were very young when The Wizard of Oz came out, and even like maybe our grandparents too. Margaret Hamilton, she created this brilliant character, but she was also so freaking terrifying at the same time. And Wizard of Oz is generally marketed as a child movie.
Hmm.
And being exposed to something at a young age like that, you immediately make that connection like, oh, witches are scary because they're like the Wicked Witch of the West. And then you got like Halloween and you got like cackling witches with warts. You don't stop and think that witches can be just, you and I. They can be human. They can have jobs. They can just live in the real world or be very pretty, or even men can be warlocks. So yeah.
Which it's funny that Wizard of Oz did that, considering Glinda is a good witch.
Mm-hmm.
So
But
if witches came out like looking, horrible and bad, like I don't understand why society decided to focus on the bad and not look at, oh, Galinda's the good witch. She's a
yeah,
good witch. Witches can be good.
I think we just like the scary stuff and the dark stuff takes more of a presence in our mind that we override the good that we see, if that makes sense. So
It
like
does.
Glinda the Good Witch, it's like, oh yeah, duh, she's a good witch, but you forget about that because you're
Hmm.
so concentrated on the dark evil stuff. So very interesting.
I want to talk about the fact that although the show was called Agatha All Along, in the end it was Billy all along, and that the road was a subconscious manifestation of like him believing in the song and believing in Agatha
Hmm.
and kind of like believing all that lore, and he essentially conjured the whole thing. I thought that was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
That was so cool. You know what's funny? It hinted at that the entire show. It really did.
Yes.
But I thought it was too obvious. And I was like, there's no way this is a creation and coming from, it's, there's no way. There's no way. And then it happened. And I was like, what the? I was so angry because I was so wrong.
And
Yeah.
Joe Locke makes a mean Maleficent.
It was
Hmm.
it was like if you've ever seen the movie Usual Suspects, there's this reveal at the end of the movie that like the guy that they were questioning for this crime had made like up this like elaborate story. He just grabbed like little pieces around the room of like decoration and all this and all these little details, and he just made this like huge story up the top of his mind. It was like awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And now we know that like Billy is on par with the Scarlet Witch, and he is essentially a person who can create not so much so life, but like souls at least.
Hmm.
Like Wanda, when she made Billy and Tommy, she made souls,
Yeah.
and when the spell burst, Billy jumped out of his body that he didn't have anymore because it disappeared, and
Hmm.
he jumped into a dying body, and now he's done the same thing for Tommy, and he's helped Tommy go into that body of that new boy.
Hmm.
So
Can I ask a question though? What was with the corpse at the beginning of the show?
which one?
So it was, we thought like Wanda's ghost.
Oh, You mean when she's the detective and it's the corpse in the middle of the woods?
Yeah,
That was Wanda.
that was Wanda.
That was them. I feel like that was them showing her that Wanda died.
Okay.
Yes.
I didn't know how that had any correlation with anything in the show, so okay. Or I just felt like, Wanda, yeah, like you said, saying like, "Hey, I'm dead" to Agatha, and then she sends her son. I don't know.
So do we think Wanda's out there as a ghost, or Wanda's in heaven, or Wanda never really died?
I mean, Agatha's a ghost.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think
I mean,
she's a ghost.
I want them to
She's
bring her
either
back.
not dead or she dead and gone.
I want them to bring her back and like, make amends with everything. Because they just did her so dirty.
Let me ask you this, Mike: would she come back as Elizabeth Olsen or someone else? And who would you want if it wasn't Elizabeth Olsen?
How could you have anyone but Elizabeth Olsen?
I know, but that's just the question I'm asking. You
I
can't.
would be
I
pissed
don't
if
want
they
any Doctor
recast.
Who stuff going on here,
Mhm.
I want Elizabeth Olsen.
It would definitely have to be Elizabeth Olsen or nobody. Like,
I agree.
you can't do that. However, if they do bring her back, I think it would probably be a Scarlet Witch from a different world or a different dimension, you know,
Yeah.
Yes. If
from
you've been
somewhere else in the
watching What
multiverse.
If, we've seen at least two different versions of Wanda.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen zombie Wanda, and we've seen like Robin Hood era Wanda, right? Well, we know there's other Scarlet Witches out there, but we want the one that was from the Sacred Timeline.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And Vision is still out there too.
Vision is
Um,
still out there. And
I guess they're
supposedly
going for
Vision's getting his own show too.
yes, Vision Quest. They canceled
Hmm.
it, and now I guess they're bringing it back.
Hmm.
So maybe Billy will find Tommy, and he'll find his dad, which is the craziest like family tree ever.
What did
Yeah.
Agatha say? Something like, "You're made out of flesh and wires" or something.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. Well, do you guys have anything else you want to throw out there about the show other than it was freaking amazing?
So we're assuming we're getting a season 2, yes?
I hope so.
Oh, I hope so. And if it's not a season 2 of Agatha, it'll be something that's titled for Billy.
I feel like it would be like Billy and Tommy, like Double Trouble or something.
I think before we even get to see Tommy, we're gonna have some time with him and Agatha as his spirit guide,
Yes.
which I'm totally excited for. The chemistry between those two on screen is fantastic.
Yeah.
The way they play off each other is just, I don't have words.
Totally am obsessed with Catherine Hahn right now. Just, again, she just brought something to the show, not just the character, just to the show that showed, like, hey, I'm more than just a comedy actress. So, yeah.
I did not have a crush on Catherine Hahn before Agatha All Along. I now have a crush on Catherine Hahn. Like, holy crap.
How old is she? She's got to be like 50s, maybe? Let me look. I'm going to Google it.
I was just about to say, give me a second with the IMDb and I can find out.
Yeah, she's 51.
Oh.
Dang.
So, not she's older than us, but not like, mom's age.
I could definitely see a season 2 being about reuniting Billy and Tommy. I could see that either happening in Agatha All Along season 2, or perhaps it would be like a vision quest for Billy, because he has his like spiritual guide. He has visions. They could tie that in the vision quest and have the whole Maximoff family get back together again. Isn't it so funny we talk about the family as like the Maximoff family and not like the Vision family and like we just have to assume that Vision took Wanda's last name. Like, it's Vision Maximoff.
It kind of makes sense. I mean, it fits. Vision also didn't have a last name.
Yeah, you know, when me and Amanda got married, I offered to take her name, like, if she didn't want mine. I said, I'll do it. So,
yeah,
good on Vision.
Someone who is, taking the wife's name. So, I mean, like, we stand a good shake-up in the tradition.
Mm-hmm. I personally plan on hyphenating when I get married.
There you go. Yeah, that's very, yeah. Yeah, well, this has been such a good conversation, especially with Mike and I. We just finished the show, and Marshall, I know you've been chomping at the bit to talk about it. So, yeah, this was a really good conversation. Thanks, Marshall, for coming on. Always
I'm happy to come hang and discuss anything with you guys anytime.
Yes.
Marshall, where can our listeners find you on social media?
I don't know. I don't really post on social media much. I mostly just watch social media. But I'm on TikTok as Marshall Lilac.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you guys want to go find me there, every once in a while I'll post a video of me singing or voice acting. I haven't posted in a really long time though, so
TikTok's where it's at.
We'll see.
Awesome.
And that wraps it up for this episode of Saturday Morning Serial Podcast.
And make sure you subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast to not miss a new episode, and follow us on our socials. Links are all found on our website. We'll talk to you guys next time.